Good evening and welcome to Preparing for Life Storms with Bear Prepper. Today is Tuesday, May 7th, 2013, and it's my pleasure to welcome you in tonight. We are on air from 8 to 9 p.m. Central Time, the first and third Tuesdays of every month on American Preppers Radio, powered by PrepperBroadcasting.com. We broadcast many different hosts 7 days a week, so please check out the host tab for more information on shows and times. You can also listen to all previous shows into the host archive. If you'd like to join us in the chat room, come on over to PrepperBroadcasting.com and click on the Listen and Chat at the top of the page. Scroll on down to the chat room, create your name, or just accept the default name and come on in. You'll always be in for a treat with some lively chat and interesting conversation. Tomorrow night, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Time, Goat Hollow and the Surreal News, the facts about where our world is heading. Okay, folks, so first I'd like to welcome you into the show, and I'm going to give you a word of warning and a little heads up here. I'm holding my phone tonight, so if you need me to type, it's going to be one-fingered, and I'm got a little cough here and a croak in my throat, so please bear with me tonight on that. Don't forget to check out our new players and give T-Man a little feedback of what you think of the new setup there. Supposedly it's going to be a whole lot better for us and a little easier to manage. So tonight we're going to do open mic, open questions, ask whatever you'd like, and the phone number is 347-202-0228, and just press 1 if you want to speak to me. If you're having trouble listening in on the radio buttons, then you can go ahead and call on in and listen in that way. It's probably about a 30-second ahead of what you guys are hearing in the chat room. I see the chat room's filling up pretty fast, and looks like we got a few new people. Welcome to the show. I hope you learned something new and find it very interesting. Well, tonight I had different plans on how I was going to start. But after the news of the day, I thought maybe we might want to just take a moment and have just a, 20-second moment of blessings to those women that were rescued today after 10 years. I can't imagine being in their shoes and being trapped in a house for 10 years and maybe not knowing if they were still looking for you or not and thinking the world gave up on you. And having these madmen just be horrible. So please, let's send our prayers and our blessings out to them and their families and congratulate them for not giving up and for that kind gentleman who is crazy enough and kind enough to help the ladies get out of the house. So, I get a lot of questions on my YouTube channels. And I thought tonight maybe we'd go over some of those questions, and I know all of you have a lot of questions. And so please don't be shy. You can type them in the chat room, and if I don't see them, WeTree's wonderful at reposting them for me, because sometimes the chat room moves pretty fast. So, but we'd love to have you call in and get you on the radio, because nobody can hear your questions from you unless you call on in. So one of the questions I get probably the most is on canning meat. The biggest question is, how long does it store? Well, as most of you know, if you've watched any of my videos, I'm in Texas, and I'm in Bear County. That's why my name is Bear Prepper. And, it gets pretty hot here in Texas. So I have my food storage in a shed that I built. Now, when I built my shed, I built it in a way so that it was on the side of a hill, right where the breeze could blow on through it, which reduced the temperature probably about 20 degrees. Then I added a solar attic fan to reduce the temperature even more. So my temp is probably about 88 degrees. And so when I tell you how long food stores for, that's usually what I'm basing it on. Because, if we were to have an SHGF situation, your homes are going to be hotter than my shed. And so you need to understand that you need to plan for that kind of thing and just get in the habit of rotating as if you were already off-grid. So what I like to do on meat is I like to rotate my meat every 5 years. What I do is I can up enough for 5 years, and the first year I don't do any rotation. Second year I rotate a quarter, and then on down until the 5th year, and then I recan because I'll be using up my stock. Now, meat can last almost forever. If it stays canned and stays pressurized, there is nothing that can cause it to go bad. But it does tend to get soft. The texture changes at about 8 years. So I never let my meat go longer than 8 years because, we have the opportunity now to learn to use it and to rotate it. And I use my canned goods and my dehydrated goods on a daily basis. Maybe not every day because, not all of us cook every day. But that is just part of how I cook. I don't leave it set aside for 20 years and hope for the best later. So that's something you all need to consider when you're doing this stuff. And I've got a question here. Let's see, Crafty Prepper Bear, what bothers me is, when will we know to bug out? Oh, great question. I think it's going to be a little bit different for everybody because I think some of us are going to bug out early, some are going to bug out just in time, and some are going to try to bug out late. It all depends on what your perception of danger is and how you interpret it and see it. Me, for one, I have the ability to work from home, so I am probably going to bug out quicker than the average person would. Because as you'll see from our Prepping Unplugged challenge, I'm going to be doing it myself. Of course, I can't win, but I'm going to be going 48 hours off-grid at my retreat in order to test how prepared I am. Now, I know 48 hours doesn't seem like a long time, but if you act as if it is a long time, like there's not a tomorrow where you're going to be going back home, then it is a great challenge for you to see what you've done that works and what doesn't work. Excuse me. So you've got to, man, am I just having a difficult time here. You've got to decide for yourself on what signs that you're looking for that you think would cause you to bug out. I know if they go to pull all this money, they were booming and doing great until it finally went boo, and then it crashed and burned. So we have a question from Persian Cat Lover. Is home-canned chicken actually better than store-canned chicken? Store-canned chicken is usually cheaper. Persian Cat Lover, I do not like store-canned chicken. That stuff is like chewing cardboard. It's got an extremely strange texture, and home-canned chicken is better than fresh-canned chicken, and I hear that from a lot of people, not just me. I rarely cook fresh chicken. I always cook canned chicken because it is just so tender and juicy, and all the flavors of the chicken stay in it. It's like putting a beautiful chicken breast on a barbecue, and when you barbecue it just perfectly, it's juicy and tender and has just wonderful flavor inside. Well, that's how your canned chicken turns out when you do it that way, when you can it. So it's something that I think everybody should try some canned chicken. And I like to shred mine first because when I'm tired at the end of the day and I want a nice meal, I want to have the shredded chicken because I can make all kinds of things with it. You can make tacos. You know, being in Texas, we tend to do a lot of Mexican food. You can put some chicken in with your rice. You can make a chicken salad out of it. You can put it in a salad, because it's already shredded. It's already cooked. And you're all done. You're raring to go. Dinner's done. and you've given your family food that is really, really good for you, rather than food that has been processed. Because, you know, when we're all tired, we go fast food or we go TV dinners. And so that's, to me, what home canning allows me to do. It allows me to make a TV dinner that is a whole lot more healthy for me than anything else. Now, we got a question earlier. People have heard mention that I'm working on a cookbook. Yes, I am working on a cookbook. I'm not quite sure when I will get around to actually publishing it, but I am working on it, and I'm trying to put some really great information in it for you guys so that it's actually a book that you'll pick up and read and not just pull out for that one moment, because those are the kind of books I like to read. So just bear with me, and most of my recipes I do include in my videos, so give that a shot. Canning meatloaf. You know, you hear a lot of people say don't can meatloaf. There is a trick to it. You don't want to do a lot of crackers. You don't want to use milk. You can use milk powder. You don't want to use a lot of onions. And when you put it in the jars, you want to indent the center. And the reason you're indenting the center is to compensate for the density issue, because ground beef that is smashed together is extremely dense. And in order to get all the bacteria spores out with the heat, you want to be able to penetrate that. Kind of like why they tell you you can't can pumpkin puree. You can can cubes, but not pumpkin puree, because of the density. Now, with pumpkin puree, you can't indent the center so that it can penetrate it. All right, we've got a question from Cappy. Do you add salt to canned chicken, or do you add a bouillon cube? Cappy, you can do either one or nothing. The rules have changed. The way they used to do it, the reason salt got started in canning, when you can in a water bath canner, and in the olden days they would can their meat in a water bath canner, if you add salt to your jars, it actually raises the internal temperature of the meat or product inside. So they would add salt to the jars to raise the internal temperature so that they could kill the botulism spores and bacteria spores. Nowadays, we have pressure canners. And for a lot of years, they said the recommendations were still to use salt. But pressure canners actually go higher than the temperature absolutely necessary to kill everything. So salt is not necessary, which is wonderful for those of you that have a sodium issue. You don't have to can with salt. And with bouillon, you can make your own bouillon from your chicken stock. I call it pocket soup. And then you can add that, still without any salt. D.A. Token, you're losing me. Can anybody hear me at all? Hopefully you can. I'm about 20 seconds behind, so you guys will probably pop up in a second and say, yes, you can hear me. Okay, that's good to know. Good to know. Now, I'm not seeing a whole lot of questions coming through, and I still haven't had the phone ring. I would love to hear you. The phone number is 347-202-0228. And press 1, and my producer, G-Man, will connect you in. We've got a question from Scooter, 421. When using frozen veggies fruit to dehydrate, what is the shelf life? The same as any other dehydrated fruit or vegetable, 20, 30 years, as long as you're packaging it right. I have found if you package it in mason jars and you don't keep a seal on it, you probably get about 2 years out of it before it just doesn't look appealing. You can still eat it. It'll have the same nutrients that it had, but it won't look as appealing because the moisture and stuff can still get in there. And the light. The light is a big deal. And so if you package it appropriately, like in Mylar with O2, then it's good for 30 years or so, or forever. You know, we did a show a while ago with how long that they found items in open canning jars that were 50 years old and things were fine. They also opened steel cans that the food was fine inside. Do not expect your store-bought canned foods to last near as long as your home canned foods, because the new cans that they do them in are not steel like they used to be. And never buy the pop tops for your food storage. You know, those little tin tops that come out from the center, those things are worthless. They seep. It's been proven that the air seeps in. They have an extremely short shelf life. And I would hate to see anybody get their family and loved ones sick. So please, do not even bother buying those. Persian Cat Lover says Home Depot is now selling Gamma lids for buckets, and Lowe's is selling BPA food-grade buckets. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, in some places, Walmart is selling the dehydrated and the 5-gallon buckets and some of the number 10 cans. So is Costco. So you can find that stuff locally, not just online. I love shopping online. It's you can get whatever you want. You can find the cheapest price. If you're just starting out, I love the Honeywell, the 6 canned. Oh, it's like vegetables or fruit. I love those. I mean, you end up getting a greatly reduced price. You get 1 or 2 of those of each, and you've got some great setups there. I don't recommend the freeze-dried. They're nice to have, but they are just so expensive. If you want meat, then get the freeze-dried meat or can your own. I do not recommend dehydrating your meat. There is such a short shelf life, and I'm not looking at things that are a good shelf life of 1 or 2 years. If it's not good for at least 5, I just don't have the time. Many of you may have the time to rotate everything every year or 2. I don't want to have to think about it that close. And I want to be able to buy in bulk. And if I can buy chicken, 80 pounds of chicken, and only have to do it maybe once every 3 or 4 years, then I've saved myself a good amount of money. So you got to think about that. You know, what are you willing to do? Are you willing to put that much time and thought into what you got to take care of, or are there other things that you need to put your time and energy into? You know, getting your bug out created and doing those kind of things, you know. So you got to think about those things. I'm still waiting for some more questions here or callers. I love to hear from you. 347-202-0228. And maybe in a little bit we can get Pet Prepper to call on in, and she can talk to us a little bit about the Prepping Unplugged Challenge. I'm not sure if she's going to be able to tonight, but if she can, I would love to have her on here to tell you guys all about it. All right. Una Queen Pa, what do you like better, canning hamburger with or without liquid? I do not can hamburger without liquid. I don't do it. I just don't. I don't think it's a good idea. I think in the long run, they're going to find issues with that. When you look at the meat canned without water and you look with water, when you can hamburger with water and the liquid evaporates, at the top, you're going to see your hamburger turning very dark. Now, it does not go bad because it's in a sealed environment, and you can flip it over, and it softens it some. But in the long term, I'm not sure. I don't know of anybody, or I don't know of anybody who has shown what it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. As you know, like with my bacon, I had never done bacon before. So I have saved 5 jars of bacon, and I am opening a jar every year. And at the current time, bacon to me only lasts 2 years because that's all I've proved that it lasts. And next year, when I open another jar and it's fine, then I'll say, yes, I agree, bacon is good for 5 years. I'm not one of those that is just going to take anybody telling me that something is okay for me because it puts my family at risk if I do that. I need to prove for myself. And I've been canning for over 35 years, and so I have tested everything that I teach you for many years. I've ate chicken that was 15 years old in a jar and had no problems with it. But I don't tell you to do that because after 8 years, it got soft, and that texture would turn somebody off. So please, when you do things, think about whether or not you're willing to risk that on your family. That's like I get a lot of questions about canning bread. Those cakes, I've done that. Absolutely, I've done it. I won't ever do it again. If I want to send cakes to a family member through the mail or to my nephew overseas, then yes, I would absolutely do that. It's good for 4 to 6 months. I don't have an issue with it. After that, no way. It's just too dangerous. It's not worth the risk of my family and my friends and my loved ones. So, you may not agree with me, and that's okay. You have to make that decision for yourself because it's you and your family that has to live with the consequences. And the consequences right now may not be near as bad as they would be if SHTF happens. Because now, if you eat something bad, you can go to the hospital. And 9 times out of 10, there's not going to be a problem. You're going to be okay. It's a little stomach upset. It's not anything else. It's not botulism or anything like that. But if SHTF happens, you're not going to have that option. And most of you, or most of the people I know, are storing for that. They're not storing to live off like I do. They're storing to store. And so that's when they're going to find out that it was a really bad idea. So think about it for yourself and figure out what you want. Okay, Crafty Prepper has a question. Having a hard time finding a bug-out location. What other than water should we look for? Well, it depends on what you want. I would say you've got to have a bit of flat land that you can have a garden on. At this point in time, you can haul in dirt, but that is not the optimal choice. That's what I ended up having to do, was find a way to get dirt in to have a garden. But if you can look for a place that has a good place to grow a garden, you're going to want some areas that are rocky because if nothing else, you can build things, or wooded where you can build things out of it to cut down your cost of getting your retreat ready. One that you have the rights to dig into, because nowadays, a lot of times they're keeping the rights and you can only go down 3 foot, 4 foot. And if you do anything more than that, then you're in violation. So that's important to know, whether or not that's something. Well, it looks like I've got people in queue, and I'm sorry, I just noticed it. Sue Bear, why don't you come on in?
Hey, Barry.
Hey,
good to have you on
Bear.
tonight. You know what? I was raised on canned food my whole life, and I'm in my 40s. And my family have done it for always. And I put in there that, my dad was feeding us canned food, home canned food from the World War II. That's what they did. They canned the food in the cans. And so it was fresh. My grandmother had done it. They knew it was, as long as it didn't bulge, it didn't look weird, it didn't leak, we ate it.
That's
and
right.
If he found it, he fed us. And, 9 kids, you're going to eat it. So people need to get over this myth of, all this bad stuff's in there. You know what? There's signs of it. If there's bacteria growing, it's going to bulge. It has the gas building up. It's going to go somewhere.
Oh, it doesn't really bulge. It just explodes. The lid usually
it gets to that
off.
point. We saw quite a few of those, but and the same with rice. Rice might change a little color. It's still good. It's still there. That's my degree. I have nutrition. We had to study this, and the nutrition value is still there. Freezing is better if you can do it right away. If you cannot freeze the food, it loses the minerals, it loses vitamins. So if all you have as option is canning, get it done as quickly as possible. You're going to have all the vitamins still there in the can.
Well, you know what I thought was really interesting, though? If you cook something and then freeze it, you bring it home and then you freeze it, or if you blanch it or just can it, you're actually saving more nutrients in the canned jars than you are in the frozen or the cooked and frozen or whatever. You're getting, because they're all cooking those nutrients inside and they're not going anywhere.
Right. Well, think of all those vegetables and all those food that we're getting from out of the country. It's not getting here that quickly from the fields. It's already lost so much of the nutrients that is good for us. So if we can get it from the gardens and put it into our freezers and into the cans by the same day, if not the next day, we have far more vitamins and nutrients in what we've done personally than getting it shipped in. And, this has been proven. It gets me so frustrated to see people, that's okay, as long as it's fresh. It's not that fresh. They picked it green. It's come here. It didn't get to make all the nutrients it needed to on the vines and on the plants that it would have if it had grown here. And that's really frustrating to see. But,
if people don't understand it, they think, that they're doing the right thing. And what I try to do is I try to share my garden vegetables with other people that say that, so they can taste the difference between my fresh vegetables and those vegetables they got from the store.
Exactly. I mean, it's a huge difference. The only thing that we cannot get in our country is bananas to come in fresh, or even I think there's some coconuts being grown down in Florida and along the lower coast of California, but we can't get enough of those. So those things you can get, that's okay. But most of it, if you can get it outside your back door and get it into your house and have it the next day, you're going to have all that nutrients that is lost in shipping.
Yeah.
So,
well, and also we got a question in the queue about how many nutrients are lost during dehydration, and the answer is minuscule. Dehydration is one of the best forms of preserving the most nutrients.
It's, again, you're catching it still as fresh as its peak. When you're dehydrating it, you're actually trapping it. It kind of like forms, I don't want to say skin, but it's a barrier. So when it traps it inside there, when you're rehydrating it, though, that's when it gets into the liquids. And you want to try and use as much of the liquids that you're rehydrating it in as much as you can. That's the key to that. But, it's still far better than shipped.
Absolutely.
I much rather eat food here than from, other countries, unless it's an exotic, fruit that we don't get. That's a little different. But it's not going to have as much nutrients as if you had picked it off the tree. So,
I'm not sure where that wives' tale came from, but I think it was a way for them, that generation to make excuses why they no longer wanted to can.
Well, the manufacturers, after World War II, we make it easy. It's simple. You can just take it out, make it quick for your family. It had to be quicker and it had to be bigger. Our portion sizes grew out of control. It's just, that's the point. And preservatives were introduced really sneaky, of course, because they're not good for us. And they actually knew that during World War II when they were having the families can the goods to send to their family members across the ocean. Anything to get food to our soldiers. And, who did that? Family and friends. But they knew to do it really quick. And any type of preservative, that's when it was actually coming about because they wanted to get it to last longer to their soldiers. So, it's kind of a crazy thing that we got into that mode during the late 40s, early 50s. It had to be quick and it had to be big. And that was our downfall.
There you go. Well, thank you, Sue Bear. Such great information tonight. I so appreciate it. And thank you so much for calling in.
Everything's better homemade. Just remember
Absolutely.
that. Okay, great. You bet.
Right,
bye-bye.
Okay, it looks like we've got Pat Prepper in the queue. Good. She's going to call in and talk about the Prepping Unplugged Challenge. And I hope all of you do this. Pat Prepper, come on in, hon.
Hi there.
Hey, Pat. How you doing? You saw my boo-boo last night, huh?
See what?
My boo-boo.
Yeah.
I uploaded a video for us last night, and stupid program I used put it to live, and so 5 o'clock this morning I put it private because I know some of you asked what happened to it. It'll go live when it's supposed to go live.
Yeah, and I was
having So tell us about the challenge.
Right. Well, I don't know. I think there's a lot of people that are listening or in the chat that aren't on YouTube and don't know about the Prepping Unplugged Challenge. And I don't know. If you can get on YouTube, go check out Bear or I's channels, and there is a video. There's a ton more people, and their names are in the description box below our videos, and you can go watch theirs also. But we decided to come up with this challenge to challenge other preppers or people that are thinking about prepping to try to live off-grid for 48 hours. And, wow, the response we've received from other people in the community is unbelievable. We had, what did we start out with there? 22?
I think I think we started out with 22 people.
And now we have 30-some sponsors that are sponsoring.
Yeah, 33, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is awesome. Some great people. But, I think we ought to give them a little sneak peek for those listening in to kind of encourage them to join this challenge and see if they can win. You think we should tell them what the prizes are now?
I think we should.
What do you guys think? You want to know? You'll have to tell us. They're usually a little behind, so.
Yeah, because
but,
I think the audio is a little bit off of the. Ooh, what is the challenge?
What is the challenge?
So what go ahead.
No, you go ahead, hon.
Okay. Well, what we're asking you to do is try to live off-grid for 48 hours. And that means no running water, no electricity, no vehicles. What else am I missing?
Unless they're EMP-proof. You can use that stuff if it's EMP-proof or solar or wind generator that can survive an EMP.
Yep. And so if you make a video and post it to one of the sponsors' challenges video that are accepting VRs to this challenge, you have the chance of winning. I got the list right here. Should I go through it?
Yes, I think everyone would love to hear what the prizes are. It's pretty cool.
Okay, well, there's 5 different places. First place is $600 and tactical gear. Second place is $200 and a sun oven. Third place is $100 and a $100 Lehman's gift card. Fourth place is $125 and a water bob. Fifth place is $100 and a Wonder Box. And if you have any questions about any of the gifts that are given other than the cash or the Visa gift cards, you can just go look them up or check out one of the update videos. And oh my gosh, we are so excited, and we just hope so many people take this challenge, not only for the prizes, but to learn what they need to prep more of in the future in case something serious does happen. So
yeah, and that's the part that hit us the most was, all these people are putting these preps away, and yet they haven't used them. They haven't seen what their life is going to be like with what they've decided to store. Because, you can get by with very little, but instead of storing 2 years of food, maybe you want to have a luxury, kind of like you'll see in my videos, the kind of little luxuries that I have on my retreat. But you won't know unless you do it just how hard life is without it.
Yeah.
And I know 48 hours isn't a long time, but you can use the mindset of it being forever, which is going to change how you actually use your items.
Right, and there are a lot of people that actually live this way on a regular basis, and they feel like they shouldn't enter the challenge because this is how they live. No, we want to see that, and we want other people to learn what you're doing to actually live like that.
Yeah, that's right. I want to know. I want to know what else you're doing that could make my life easier and where I need to go from where I'm at. And if they don't enter the challenge, then I may not get to see. And, also, there's a lot of people that don't know how to or don't have the ability to make a video, but you can take pictures. We all have that ability.
Right, and then put a whole bunch of text in it explaining what the pictures are about and,
Yeah, well, we got a question here. Can you use your car during the challenge? So what would be the reason you could use your car, Pat?
Oh, if there was an emergency, but it has to be EMP proof, meaning, do you want to explain that? You're more of the electrician in this whole...
Well, it has to be a non-computer car, one that would survive an EMP if everything was off, if your car was grounded. Now, a lot of people forget that part, making sure it's grounded. So if you're going to drive in your car, I want to see how you ground your car out. I want to see how you're protecting it from that EMP. Faraday cage, if you've got a generator, for example, my generator is connected from a copper wire to a 6-foot copper pole into the ground in order to make it EMP-proof.
Right.
So those are the kind of things you want to see. If you're going to use it, then you have to show us that. If you're going to use your water, then we need to see that you have a well that has some other pump, an electric pump, that's used on grid.
Right, right. And somebody just said that you shouldn't be using your car in this, situation, period. Well, there might be situations where you need to drive to go to a pond or whatever. And if you have an EMP-proof vehicle, more power to you,
That's right.
So,
and, we also had someone who had to stop their challenge in the middle to go to the emergency room.
Right.
And we would never tell you not to dial 911 and not to use a vehicle. Right. If you've got an emergency, please, for goodness sakes, take care of it and post what you have and tell us what you learned. It does not necessarily disqualify you from even posting a video.
Exactly. So
I think
it's so exciting, and it's so wonderful to see this community come together, and wow, we're
it's
amazed.
A great community. Now, when does the contest end?
May 28th.
So, see, folks, you got lots of time.
Yeah, May 28th, midnight Pacific time. Is that? Yes, that's correct.
And like we said, we have 33 different sponsors. Not all of them are accepting video responses, but in the first video, it tells you the people that are accepting video responses that we know of. And we even have several of them in here that have sponsored the challenge. Good old Wee Tree and Bobby and Genius in Exile. And
Sugar was in here, and GCCL, and...
Yeah,
Oh, geez, it's so hard to go through the list right now. I hope we're not forgetting anybody, but...
No, me too. I should have kept my mouth shut, huh?
You should have.
But it's really exciting, and we are going to try to make this an annual thing.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important.
I do, too. And, you know, like you said, 48 hours isn't that much time, but for new preppers, and I think that's who this is going to be the most important for, is people that are just starting out. And I just think it's going to be very, very important for them, which includes me. I'm a new prepper, so, you know, I'm going to learn a lot from taking this challenge.
Right. And Persian Cat Lover asked if we've had any responses yet. We sure have. I think we've had 3 or 4 on different people's channels, and the list will be in the next update, which hopefully we'll post late tonight. And we'll have all the sponsors in there. Mm-hmm. Well, or last night for a few hours. My fault. You know, I didn't expect that program to, when you say private, for it to make it public. Everyone loved our goose, though.
Yeah. So, anyhow, I just hope everybody has fun doing this, and I hope, you know, a lot of people enter, and we're so excited. I just don't know what else to say about it.
I think it's going to be great. And even if you can't enter the contest, I think you're going to learn a ton from the videos. I know I have a few surprises in store for you. And I think Pat has a few surprises in store for you, too, don't you, Pat?
I think so, too. And also Genius in Exile. So, yeah, look forward to that. Oh, and everybody's talking about EMP-proof cars. Can I just mention this right now?
Sure.
I just recently dug my 1950 Dodge Cornet out of the garage, and I've been driving that around this farm like crazy. And today I did a video on it, so there should be a video on that in the next few days. So I just nice. Keep looking at it, and it's so nice out and beautiful, and I've just been having a blast. So.
And it's EMP proof.
It is EMP proof, and yep, we've got the whole copper business going on, and I don't understand that, but Sweet Baby fixed all that up for me. So.
Hey, that's the only way to do it. You know, I wish I had an EMP-proof car, but I got enough other things. As long as I can hoof it out to my retreat, I'll be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And, you know, in Texas, they always say that if something bad were to happen, we're going to notice it in L.A. and New York first. And so that's going to give the rest of us some time to get to our location. The only time we wouldn't notice it is if an EMP hits and knocks out everybody at the same time.
Right, right.
But otherwise, if it's civil unrest, you're going to notice it in L.A. and New York first, so you'll be able to get yourself prepared.
Yeah, and then if it's in the wintertime, hopefully nobody will be coming to Minnesota because, you know, nobody wants to be.
No, we don't want to be in Minnesota. I mean, it's bad enough here. Our March weather happened in April. And so we're now just getting our April weather, which is probably a good thing because we were so low on water. It gave us a little extra time to get some water, some rain, where the heat didn't just evaporate it.
Yeah, and we were really dry here too. Even though we keep getting snow, we're probably expecting more. But it's crazy. We're so sandy here that all the snow that we got and keep getting, it just sinks right in, and people throw cigarette butts out the window, or they're burning when they're not supposed to, and there are just fires all over the place. It's insane what, you know, how much moisture we've gotten over this winter, but yeah. Okay, I'm going to shut up now and let you continue on with your show.
Well, thank you, Pat. I appreciate you calling in. I thought it was important for everyone to know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Okay. You too. Bye, hon.
Okay, let's see. I'm looking at the chat room to see what we got going on here, and let's see. Oh, Crafty Prepper thinks I should. Crafty Prepper, what should I name my book? Bear with me, how cute. let's see. I'm looking to see if we have any more questions on canning or dehydrating or anything that's going on. And I want to take this moment to tell you that next week is Bobby, MHP Gardener, and he's going to just talk away and let us call him. Yes, get your questions ready because it's gardening season, and he's the gardening guru. And my dear, dear friend. So, Crafty Prepper says, can we still get pressure cookers? Yes, for now we can. Oh, did any of you see the article that just came out about the EU and what they're going to do with seeds? Now seeds have to be registered, and you got to pay to register them. And they say that's not going to affect small-town gardeners, but you know it will. So they're working on it, which means we're just a few years behind them in getting it implemented here in the United States, most likely. So, you know, folks, prepping, get them seeds put away. Make sure you grow a couple heirloom of everything every year so that you can refresh those seeds, or get connected up with somebody who does that you can share, because, you know, there may come a point in time where we can't get pressure cookers and we can't get seeds and all those kind of good things. I was just in Walmart yesterday getting something for my bug out, and I noticed they have Presto canners there. So they've got all that there now. They've got a lot of new mixes for those of you that are brand new and don't want to have to worry about what you need to put in, something like salsa or your dill pickles or your sweet pickles or your bread and butter pickles. And those packets are really good, and they work really well, and it's a great starting point. Okay, Scooter asked, what is the difference between a pressure canner on a gas stove versus a propane outdoor stove? You know, Iron had pressure cans out on his propane stove. Misty Shooter, pressure cans on her wood stove. I have never heard of anybody having a problem. It is more difficult to maintain the pressure, so you've got to be on top of it. A propane, what's the difference? It's heat. It's heat. I don't understand where people get it, the thought that it's different. You're just heating your pot. Now, you might want to take it up slower, because propane or gas, if you turn it on full blast, it's going to raise your pressure canner rapidly. Anytime you raise your pressure canner rapidly, you risk exploding your jars. Or lower it rapidly, you risk exploding your jars. So please, folks, when you're using your pressure canners, think about that. Take it down a notch or two at a time. Take it up a notch or two at a time. Don't just go full fire on. Or you're going to have some jars, especially older jars that are slightly weak. Or if you've microwaved a jar, yeah, you might as well kiss that one goodbye, because it will eventually explode, because it really weakens the glass. So H-Wit has 3 pressure canners, a Mirror, a Presto, and a Fagor. I have a Presto 16 quart, and I have, an All-American 921, I think it is. One of those big, huge things that my kids need to get out for me, because it's just so heavy. Okay, we got another question here from Persian Cat Lover. If a recipe says to pressure can at 11 psi and it's at 15 psi, is this okay, or do I have to lower it to the recommended? You need to lower it because you're burning it. So when it says 11, you can get by with 10. If you've got a weighted pressure canner, it should be 10. If you've got a gauge, then you can get to 11. But 15 will burn it on you because it'll raise the pressure too high, which will cause to penetrate the meat more, and it will burn. So you need to, that's not a big deal. Eat a little burnt food, not a big deal. And yes, H-Wit, you never microwave canning jars. That is definitely a no-no. They won't explode on you today. They won't explode on you tomorrow, but they will explode on you. So they are not made for that. It weakens the glass structure. Okay. I don't have a quote or anything for you guys tonight, so I'm looking to see if we have any more questions. And this is your last chance to call in. If you have any questions, let's post them now so I can get them out to you. And next time I'm on, it's going to be an exciting show. I think we're going to do an the Prepping Unplugged Challenge review. How did it go? What did we learn? And I'd like all of you that do the challenge to come on into the chat room and give a call in and tell us what you thought and what you learned and all that kind of good stuff. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I think we can all learn something because we'll say our mistakes. And maybe those of you that have made that same mistake and know how not to make that mistake can give us a clue on that. All right, Crafty Prepper. Is it okay to leave original package on dry beans and rice if you open the bag before putting in Mylar and Oxy? Yes. Absolutely. It is quite all right. You don't need to, but you can. Not a big deal. Just make sure you open the package so it can remove the oxygen from inside the bag. If the oxygen absorber stayed active for longer, it would eventually pull it out of that plastic bag, but it doesn't stay that long, so you need to go ahead and open the bag, and that's the only reason you open the bag. That's a question for Bobby. Well, geez, Bobby. I love my Bobby. He's awesome, guys. You got to come listen to him. He does an amazing show, and he is just wonderful to listen to. He always has some good stories or some interesting information that's really fun. So I guess that's probably all we've got tonight. Doesn't look like I have any more questions, and so I'm going to call it hey. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I hope you all give this prepping challenge a chance, and I can't wait to see your videos and hear your results. And please, if you even decide not to do a video, let me know how it went for you. You can email me at bearprepper@att.net, and I would love to hear your story. So for tonight, I want to wish you all wonderful blessings.